Alrighty, it's your boy Zxous, and we're back with another Goddess of Victory Nikke video. And in today's video, we're going to be ranking the Pilgrims from best to worst. I want to do this for every manufacturer, but it's not going to be every single one. For the other manufacturers, it's just going to probably be like the top 10. The only reason why there's 8 is because there's not that many Pilgrims in the game. We will have Nilister included in this. So yeah, we're going to rank them from, I want to say best to worst, because that'll just make it easier rather than me doing from worst to best. I feel like, so in my opinion, I guess we could just start. But if you're new, make sure you guys subscribe. Of course, like, we're on the road to 1,000. We're like 15 subs away from 900. So if you guys do find these videos entertaining or enjoyable, definitely make sure to sub. It's free. So first, I want to say, obviously with Nilister, has not been any testing with her, so it's kind of, I want to say, pointless to rank her. But it's kind of like, I want to say, so there hasn't been actual testing with her, but even just from like the little gameplay they showed, you could kind of see how she works on top of, like, you already know how her skill works. So I'm not 100% sure if I want to rank her or not, but I guess we'll see. So I want to say the best character in the game is Scarlet, right? I know people might say it's Modernia, or people might even say it's Haran. I've seen some people say that, surprisingly, but I do feel like the best unit in all of Nikke right now is still Scarlet, right? Why I say she is because I want to say, of course, the best character of this game is going to be a DPS, right? Because you need damage to beat the game. I mean, that's just common sense. But the reason why I think she's so good is the simple fact that it's her first passive right there. The fact that she alone could increase her attack by more than 100% is a bit wild, right? It's like 115% at level 10. Right, the only con about it is that she's losing HP, right? That's it. But when she does lose HP and she goes below 50%, her burst skill does come into play, where she does get crit rate as well, makes her more like powerful. And she also gets crit damage when her HP falls below 60%, and then has a 30% chance of just dealing this 138.24% of attack that's being increased by 100% to the target that attacked her, right? If it does proc, it's like, this character, I want to say, is going to be the most consistent, like, in anything you do, right? Literally anything she does, she will be the most consistent. It's going to be it's going to be very hard for this girl to get replaced. I honestly could see this girl being #1 for forever. I mean, not forever. I want to say till Liber Alio drops. I feel like Liber Alio will be the best unit in the game when she drops. I'm not saying she will. I feel like that. But I think Scarlet definitely holds her own, right? As #1, I think that's honestly what it is, right? #2, I'll have Modernia. It's simply because Modernia is basically Scarlet. Just, I don't want to say worse. Okay, Scarlet's more of like a solo, single target type character, and I want to say Modernia is more of an AoE, overall AoE unit, right? So Modernia does increase her her damage, right, by a bit, not by anything too crazy. After she hits 200 times, and she's in the hit rate status when they're in a full burst, basically she'll increase her attack by basically 30%, right? Her burst skill is what makes her ridiculous. She basically gets this destroy mode, where basically any enemies within the circle is just getting hit, regardless if you're aiming at them or not. If they're in the circle, they get hit, right? Not to mention, she increases her burst time for an extra 5 seconds, so that actually just helps her just stay there longer, right? When it comes for clearing waves and stuff like that, I feel like Modernia will be easily the best there. But when it comes to like bosses, she will still be very good against bosses. I feel like Scarlet just performs better against bosses, right? Because Scarlet's more of like a single target enemy, besides her burst skill, of course. While Modernia just seems like an overall AoE, I feel like. Because most of the time you're, not really, because she's a 40-second burst cooldown. But at the end of the day, she's still increasing her damage. Yeah, she's increasing her damage, her hit rate, and then like, she's just so good, really nice. I don't think she's better than Scarlet, because again, Scarlet have the like increased attack by like 100+%, the 30% chance to proc, all that stuff. But I do think Modernia is a close second. Third, I want to say it's Haran. Right, I feel like Haran's virus transfer is very, very good. I'm not sure how much it's gonna play late game. I don't use her that much in late game. Not anymore at least, but she's still very good. Like 999% of AoE damage, very good. But again, what makes her shine is this virus transfer, right? It deals a certain percent of attack every 1 second for 5 seconds, and then if she kills somebody with that effect, they actually just get virus transfer gets transferred onto 2 other enemies, and it's kind of like I say all the time, it's like a chain reaction, right? Especially if you use her burst skill, it's just going to be too broken if they have virus transfer up, right? Because she's most likely going to one-shot. But I mean, regular mobs, right? She's gonna one-shot regular mobs. This is not really gonna do anything against bosses, right? But regular enemies, like small mobs, she's definitely gonna do something there, right? And then she also gets the pierce effect for 1 round when she uses a full charge, which is basically every time. And then when she does kill an enemy, she gets an attack buff that stacks up to 15 times. But this is not going to be as consistent because she has to kill an enemy. Like, I think you can get this instantly if you use her burst skill, right? But like on average, probably not, right? So I would say she is there. Honestly, for fourth, I want to say, based on skills, I think I want to say Nylister is better than Snow White as a pilgrim, as a general pilgrim. Because I feel like Snow White's only purpose is only like her ultimate, her burst skill, right? Honestly, I might say Rapunzel. I think I might say Rapunzel. I feel like in terms of general content, Rapunzel is just better than a lot of these characters. Like obviously, I want to say Rapunzel is more like consistent than Haran too, right? Reason being is because she's a supporter, right? So her and Haran have completely different roles. But what she can do is basically revive allies. She can heal you. Like I want to say she's the most consistent healer in the game, right? So I feel like in just overall general content, she has a higher place than Haran, right? Right. It's kind of unfair for me to say Haran is better because Haran does damage when it's like if Haran dies. Not only if Haran dies, Rapunzel can revive, and then like it's not even just Haran, but if anybody dies, Rapunzel can heal them up, revive them, and then she can also stun enemies, all enemies, which will come in handy, right? So that's pretty good, right? That's pretty good. Increases their HP, their max HP of the 2 highest attackers, their HP healing. And then basically every time she attacks with a full charge, which is every time, she's just recovering 3 allies' HP with the lowest HP. Like I want to say Rapunzel is the 3rd best, and then I would say Haran is 4th best. 5th, I'd probably say, based on skills, let me see. Let me consider this 1 second. Again, there hasn't been official testing, but I think after reading it, I might say Nylister's. I feel like Snow White's very good, right? But what makes Snow White shine more than any other character is really her burst skill, right? I'm not saying her other skills are useless, because essentially her second skill is technically better than Nylister's, right? They both are the same, basically, but hers works every 15 seconds, while Nylister's is every 10 seconds, but hers is more of a, like, damage multiplier. Not to mention she does get crit rate increased by 26% when you're in a full burst, right? So keep that in mind. Their first skill is essentially the same, but Nylister's is like consistent because hers is she gets the pierce skill every time she uses a full charge, right? So hers is more consistent than Snow White since hers is every 30 hits, right? But that's like basically if it was for me to put Snow White higher than Nylister, I would have to say you have to ask yourself, is her ultimate like better than Nylister's whole kit? And it kind of is, but I feel like Nylister as a like consistency, right? If Snow White is just really a boss killer, I want to say, then Nylister is obviously going to be higher than her, right? I feel like because this is again general content, right? I don't want to say her burst skill doesn't matter against anybody who's not a boss, but in theory, like Nylister is going to be doing much more than Snow White in just general stuff, right? So there's that. In 7th, I have Noah, and then obviously Isabel is 8th. I think Isabel is the worst pilgrim in the game. She's not bad. She's just the worst pilgrim. She's just not bad though. There's no bad pilgrims in this game. I feel like Noah shines more obviously in PvP, but obviously outside of PvP she would work great too, right? She taunts enemies, gives the all allies invincibility, increases their defense. What's it called? When allies, she has a 10% chance for all allies, right? Sustained damage by down by 8% for 10 seconds. Very good. She can taunt at will with a full charge and lower that enemy's attack. I feel like she's going to be more consistent than Isabel. But at the same time, Isabel is very, very nice when it comes to like just damage, right? Right, so for example, every 15 seconds affects 5 enemies with the highest defense, just deals 170% of attack as damage. Like that's gonna be very good. Not really a AoE, but 5 enemies that gets that with the highest defense is gonna be pretty nice. Right, I feel like she's just as like in general content. I want to say Isabel is just not. How do I word this? She's just not on par, I want to say, with the other characters around like all around content, right? Reason being, when it comes to story progression, she's not going to be the greatest, right? Noah is not going to be the greatest either, but in terms of progression, in terms of having that defense coverage, like she's going to be the best character for you to have if you don't have a healer, basically, right? Where Isabel, it's like she could do damage like anybody else, but I feel like she's not really going to be all that great until she gets her Mark III, I want to say, or her Mark II, let's say, right? And the Mark II happens during the second burst skill. So you have to use her burst skill once. So she has to use her burst skill once, and then she has to use it twice, basically, for her to start being useful, I want to say. And that's going to be after 80 seconds. I want to say, because she's going to get it. She uses it. You got to wait 60 seconds. Okay, 60 seconds, right? So this is going to be my official tier list on the Pilgrim ranking. We are going to update these when we get more Pilgrims in the game, but we will have this for Missilis, we will have this for Elysion, and we will have this for Tetra as well. And I guess we could do it for Abnormals, because I guess those are a thing as well. But for now, this is going to be my Pilgrim tier list. I think ranking them from best to worst, I do think I agree with this, right? I do think Scarlet, Modernia, and Rapunzel for overall content is just the best top 3. I do feel like these characters do rank higher than Haran when it comes to top 3 and overall content, right? Nihilister, again, I do feel like she's going to be more consistent than Snow White, just because Snow White is more of a boss killer than a general, not a general DPS, but she's like, if it came down to like, for example, progression, Nihilister will have more of, not an advantage, but more consistent than Snow White, right? In PvP, there's no question she's more consistent, right? But when it comes to stuff like special interception, that's where Snow White shines heavily, because that's only bosses, right? In tower stages, Nihilister is going to be there above her because that's mobs, right? So when it comes, there's just more mobs than bosses in this game, like in terms of content, and that's why I put Nihilister higher than Snow White. But Snow White is very good, right? Let me know if you guys agree with this. Let me know where you guys would rank them and why, right? But I do feel I actually don't think I would change this. I do feel comfortable with this. Again, with Nihilister, there's no real testing, so I can't really say too much about her, right? Besides the little gameplay we have of her, I've seen already, and then also based on her kit, it's fair if you guys would want to put her lower, but obviously just keep all that stuff in mind. So make sure you guys subscribe and like if you enjoyed this. If you agree, hit the like. If you don't agree, hit the like, and then let me know in the comments why you don't agree, who you would move around. But I think for the most part, most people would agree, if not like just change 1 or 2 characters, right? Probably just 1. I think maybe people will have Haran higher than Rapunzel. That's what I'm thinking. And then probably people would have Snow White higher than Nihilister. That's what I'm thinking. It's really just those characters I think people would change around. But hopefully most people will agree with this. I think most people will agree with this. We'll see. But I'll definitely be looking out for the comments. Make sure you guys subscribe and like I said before. And I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out. Peace.